luz. No sale todavía.
¿La reflex?
Claro, claro.
No se ve.
Ahí está. A ver.
No se ve. Se ve.
Sí.
Should it be working? So Terry can't pull it up on her computer. Yeah.
Lo llaman.
Good morning. I'm Mrs. Brown. I'm one of the National Junior Honor Society sponsors here at Raybury Middle School, and I would like to welcome you to our 2021 Veterans Day Assembly. Would first like to introduce our 2021-2022 student body officers and sponsor student council. President Josue Medrano, Vice President Daniel Reese, Secretary Danica Frisbee, Treasurer Julio Cepeda, Representatives Jaciel Maldonado, Israel Salcido, Cesar Romero, Michaela Alvarez, Denise Boneo, and our backstage helper, Benjamin Salcido. We'd like to thank Mr. Alvarez for sponsoring Student Council this year. Mr. Romero and I are the National Junior Honor Society sponsors, and we also like to introduce our RBMS administration, Principal Mrs. Radna Madrid, Vice Principal Dr. Egan, honored guest Superintendent Mrs. Samaniego if she's here, Assistant Superintendent Mrs. Cox, Director of Special Services Mrs. Walker. I would now like to turn over our assembly to our Master of Ceremonies, Veteran Kevin Alvarado.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome our guest speakers, Veteran Dusty McClary and Veteran Mark Moen. Here somewhere. We'd now like to invite everyone to please stand to receive Old Glory, our flag, which will be posted by the Douglas Fire Department Honor Guard. Honor Guard, present arm. I would now like to invite Jose Medrano, the President of Student Council, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would now like to invite Dr. Egan, Vice Principal of RBMS, to sing the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
We'd like to ask you to remain standing while we have a moment of silence for our fallen heroes. Thank you, and please be seated. On behalf of the faculty and staff of RBMS and our administrators, I would like to welcome everyone to our annual Veterans Day presentation at Rayburn Middle School. We will be honoring all our Douglas veterans as well as dedicating our presentation this year to all those that served and died in the Afghanistan war. I would now like to introduce our first guest speaker, veteran Dusty McClary, representing all veterans of the American Legion Post 11 here in Douglas, Arizona.
Morning. Before I go on with my speech, Ms. Owen asked if I would explain to you the purpose and why we invaded Afghanistan, since this has to do with Afghanistan today, so that everyone can gain a better understanding, since many of the students, or maybe all of them, were not even born yet. While already involved in a conflict with Iraq, we were attacked on September 11, 2001, who we later found out was orchestrated by Osama bin Laden, who was hiding and residing in Afghanistan amongst Al-Qaeda and Taliban fighters and leaders. Following the September 11th attacks in 2001, then US President George W. Bush demanded that the Taliban extradite Osama bin Laden, the mastermind of the attacks, and who was, until then, freely operating within the country. The Taliban never complied with the president's request, so on October 7, 2001, the US invaded Afghanistan to avenge the Al-Qaeda orchestrated terrorist attacks of September 11th. The primary aim of this US invasion was to hunt down Osama bin Laden and punish the Taliban for providing safe haven to bin Laden and the Al-Qaeda leaders. Many worry that Al-Qaeda and other radical groups will again find safe haven there now that the US has pulled American service members and our support out of Afghanistan. On August 26th of this year, deadly explosions outside Afghanistan's main airport while US forces were withdrawing were claimed to be carried out by the Islamic State, demonstrating that terrorists and terrorism still today remain a threat. The war claimed 170,000 lives and cost over $2 trillion. Now, the Taliban is in control of the country, as it was on September 11, 2001, the day of the terrorist attacks on the United States by Al-Qaeda. Military service, by its nature, is temporary. The legacy of the service, however, can benefit generations for centuries. Veterans Day can be traced to the armistice which ended World War I, though the peace of that treaty did not survive the fascist tyrannies of Hitler and Mussolini. The freedom enjoyed by Europeans today is the result of the service and sacrifice made by millions of US veterans. It is the legacy of those who have worn the uniform of the United States, a legacy of freedom. It is a legacy that has spread the globe. Without the sacrifice of veterans, the freedom and democracy we enjoy today couldn't and wouldn't have happened. Toughness, commitment, and perseverance is not unusual among veterans. Their exploits and service are legendary. Can any CEO, rock or rap star, model, or even your favorite sports player truly claim to have greater responsibility than a service member leading a team into combat? For these young service members, a bad day at work does not mean a blown account, loss of a fan, lost business, or even money. It could mean watching a best friend die, losing a limb, or being immersed in the collateral suffering that is synonymous with war. Even veterans who have not experienced combat share a bond with those who have. They have all expressed a willingness to die for their country if called upon. They have all subjected themselves to a military justice system which requires strict obedience and professionalism. And they have all pledged loyalty to the U.S. Constitution and the United States of America. It is important to remind veterans that their service matters. Remind them that their well-being matters, especially to us. Most importantly, we offer friendship, assistance, and support. You can show your support for these great men and women by simply thanking them for their service. For many veterans, our nation was important enough to endure long separations from their families, miss the births of their children, freeze in sub-zero temperatures, bake in wild jungles, lose limbs, and far too often lose their lives. Military spouses and families have had to endure career interruptions, frequent changes of address, and an unfair and unequal share of parental responsibilities. Fewer than 10% of Americans can claim the title veteran. Less than half of 1% of our population currently serves. Veterans have given us freedom, security, and the greatest nation on earth. It is impossible to put a price on that. We must remember them. We must appreciate them. God bless you all for being here. God bless our veterans and their families, and God bless America.
We will now have the folding of the flag while Mr. Romero recites the meaning of each fold.
On the guard. On your feet. Right face. Forward march. Right face. Forward march. Honor guard. Hold. Right face. Display.
In the armed forces of our great nation, each morning at reveille, our flag is hoisted aloft to the top of its staff as a symbol of our belief in the resurrection of the body. In the evening at retreat, it is lowered, and after taps have been sounded, it is folded in a triangular fold as a tribute to our nation's honored dead. The first fold of the flag is a symbol of life. The second fold is a symbol of our belief in eternal life. The third fold is made in honor and remembrance of the veteran who gave a portion of his or her life for the defense of our country. The fourth fold represents our weaker nation and our faith in the living God, for it is to him we turn in times of peace as well as in times of war. The fifth fold is a tribute to our country. In the words of our immortal Stephen Decatur, our country may she always be right in dealing with other countries, but right or wrong, she is still our country. The sixth fold is where our hearts lie, for it is with our hearts that we pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The seventh fold is a tribute to our armed forces, for it is through them that our country and our flag is protected against all her enemies, whether they are found within or without the boundaries of our republic. The eighth fold is a tribute to those who entered into the valley of the shadow of death, and that we may see the light of day. This fold is made in honor of Mother, for whom it flies on Mother's Day. The ninth fold is a tribute to womanhood, for it is then through their faith, love, devotion, and loyalty that the character of those great men who helped shape the destiny of the Republic were molded. The tenfold is a tribute to Father, for he too has given his sons and daughters for the defense of our nation. We fold from the stripes toward the stars, for whereas the stripes represent 13 original colonies, they are now embodied in the 50 sovereign states represented by the stars. The 11th fold, it is for the eyes of the Hebrew citizens. This represents the lower portion of the seal of King David and King Solomon and glorifies their Eve of God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. The 12th fold, in the eyes of Christian citizens, represents an emblem of eternity and glorifies in their eyes God the Eternal Father, his sons Jesus Christ, and the Holy Ghost. The 13th fold is a reminder to all of us of the sacrifice, suffering, and bloodshed by those of the original 13 colonies who never gave up hope nor courage for the day that they would be free from the yoke of tyranny imposed upon them by their mother country. The flag is now completely folded with the stars uppermost, which reminds us of our nation motto, "In God We Trust." The flag now takes on the appearance of the cocked hat ever reminding us of the soldiers who served under General George Washington and the sailors and Marines who served under Captain John Paul Jones. They, followed by their comrades and shipmates down through the years, have preserved for us the rights, privileges, and freedoms which we enjoy today. It is the duty and obligation of every American to uphold, defend, and preserve these stars and stripes, O glory, our flag.
Honor guard, stand up. Right face. Forward march. Honor guard, red.
I would now like to introduce our next guest speaker, Mr. Mark Moen, Afghanistan war veteran.
Thank you for having me. I would like to first take a moment to thank all the veterans that came before me. I'm the most recent in a long line that has stretched back, obviously, since the beginning of this country. I don't know, sometimes it feels that they may be not forgotten, but not the main picture, and I don't want that to ever happen. We all deserve it. We all earned it. So I want to say thank you to all of you. So like he said, my name is Marcus Moen. I was a veteran from Operation Enduring Freedom from December of 07 to February of 09. I was in Afghanistan. I was pretty much everywhere in Afghanistan. I went to Bagram, Bamiyan, Farah, name a few places. I want to thank you for the opportunity to let me speak today. And I would also like to say that if anything I do happen to say today impacts a moment in your life, please reach out to somebody to seek help if you need it. I joined the Army in 2005. I signed up to be 74 Delta MOS, which is chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and explosives, dealing with weapons of mass destruction, basically. I did my training in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. There I was taught about the military life, my job that I would soon have, and the Army values. There are 7 of them, but I believe that they are all important in daily life, whether the military or not. I know some people think of these values as old punchlines, maybe not even relevant today, but I couldn't disagree more. I believe 3 of these values are more important today, more than ever, due to our recent events in history, because they seem to be the ones that are missing the most. Due to the rise of social media and cell phones becoming more ingrained in our lives, we seem to have become more connected, yet more disconnected than ever before. So let's talk about them. First is honor. And I want to share a quote from Miranda Merritt. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, I'm sure she'll send me a message. I choose to live by choice, not by chance. To make changes, not excuses. To be motivated, not manipulated. To be useful, not used. To excel, not to compete. I choose self-esteem, not self-pity. I choose to listen to my inner voice, not the random opinion of others. I choose to be me. I think this reflects honor very well because Honor has different meanings to different people. My belief is that this one is more about actions versus thoughts. Honor to me is the physical embodiment of values. Honor is the actions that we do every day following our own moral compass. We all know how easy it is to get sucked into the crowd and go along with them. This is how people are caught up in the, well, everyone else was doing it mentality. Fighting against the crowd is hard to do whether you are 12 years old or 40 years old. Nevertheless, you have to remember when it's all over, you are left by yourself. Your honor is only good as your actions, which are judged by your smallest mistake. A good friend of mine said, you are only ever one decision away from the wrong path. It does not matter how much good you have done if when the time comes to do the hard good, you follow the easy way instead of the right way. Your honor must be the line in the sand that you will not cross. And if you are with people that are constantly trying to compromise your honor, maybe it's time to reevaluate those with which you choose to spend time. Honor and integrity are the foundation for character. So what is integrity? Michael Josephson said, integrity is the one thing you cannot afford to lose. You can give it away or sell it, but you can never buy it back. Without integrity, you become nothing and you will have nothing. Integrity is the code with which you and others judge your honor. I have heard the phrase, integrity is doing the right thing when no one else is looking, but I think it's more than that. I believe it is doing the right thing because you know what the right thing is and you don't expect anything in return for it, even recognition. I'm sure we all know someone that when they do something that is right, they immediately want someone to see it or compliment them on it. I know people like that to this day. They will do the right thing when no one is watching, as long as later they will get recognized for it. To me, that's not integrity. Integrity is giving someone the last food or water you have without even telling them who you are, and then simply moving on. Your integrity also is what tells you to help someone you might not even know or like, but you recognize that they might need help, but cannot ask themselves. Sometimes even doing the right thing might get you scolded or even hit. We've all heard the phrase, no good deed goes unpunished. However, I guarantee if you're put into this position, you will never regret your choice. If you know that someone is struggling with anything, you should be willing to help them, even if the only reward is you will get nothing. Never forget that your integrity is the only thing in the world that is the sole property of you. Others may question it, some may even try to buy it or ask you to throw it away. But in the end, you alone have sole custody and responsibility for it. Moreover, once you compromise it, it will always be called into question. Now, why do I bring those two up before the last one? Well, to me, honor and integrity are the foundation of courage and character, honor and integrity are the foundation of character, and character is what you need for personal courage. Without both of them, you will never be able to stand up and say what you believe is right. My other quote, personal courage, I think quite a few people will recognize. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies, but it takes even more to stand up to our friends. Without that, you will never be able to stand up and say what you believe is right. You will simply be a part of the crowd flowing along in the end. You have to have the personal courage to stand up and move to where you believe the moral high ground rests. This applies to both your outer actions and your internal actions. It is very easy to either join in when people are insulting someone, or even worse, sit back and ignore the problem. But it takes more courage than most people have to stand up and say something. Some of you, if not most of you, on social media have become aware of the world. The world is not all sunshine and rainbows. You can simply log in and see the hate that pours out of people because of choices they do not like or agree with. You can see the people being attacked online simply because someone dislikes something about them. People say all the time, well, so what? What can I do about it? There's just too much stuff out there. I feel that's true to an extent. Remember, you cannot change the world, but you can change a single person's world. That is within your power. Moreover, if someone questions you for doing the right thing, also maybe it's time to reevaluate who you spend time with. Your courage is also what you need to tap into for your own inner peace. If you or someone you know are suffering for any reason and just holding it inside of you because that is what you're supposed to do, or to just suck it up, everybody has, problems in life, I'm here to tell you that this is not true. And it's based on an outdated macho mentality. I stand before you today as someone who has had to battle internal demons, and something as simply as asking for help is something I could not do. Not that I physically couldn't do it, but after 5 years in the Army and 15 months in Afghanistan, I just felt that I needed to deal with it. When I came home from Afghanistan, physically, I was fine. Mentally, I was a wreck. And the people that I love were there for me, patient with me, and gave me time to understand that sometimes all you have to do is just speak up. Even if they can't understand what you've gone through, at least they can be there to listen. It is my hope that anyone within the sound of my voice that is currently suffering is able to reach out to somebody. You should not be judged, questioned, insulted, or ignored. If you are not suffering, but you know of someone that is, please be strong enough to stand up for that person. I personally have had 5 soldiers that I know, 2 commit suicide, 3 attempt it. Everybody knows the phrase, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. This is very true and just usually means somebody wants to get out of whatever is affecting them at that temporary time. So I realize that this is an extreme side of the conversation, but I really want anybody who is suffering, even something as simple as just a continuous bad time, please ask for help if you need it. Social pressure, peer pressure, and challenges to fit in are something you will be exposed to for the rest of your life. It never goes away. You have to navigate these situations, and it just never gets easier. However, you are the only one who can justify yourself as to why you have made the decisions you have made. You will be alone in the dark and have to contend with your life choices. But if you follow your own codes and values, you will never have regrets in life. Thank you very much.
I would now like to invite Mrs. Brown to come and dedicate the table for one.
Honor guard, on your feet, right face, forward march.
This year, our table for one is dedicated to the memory of Sergeant First Class Frank G. Vihar, whose remains were finally returned to Douglas last week after being killed in action and missing in action for over 72 years in Korea. We would also like to dedicate the table for one to the 13 soldiers who were killed in action at the Kabul airport on August 28, 2021, representing all of our soldiers that were killed in Afghanistan. Those soldiers' names are Sergeant Yoani Rosario Pichardo, age 25, United States Marines. Sergeant Nicole Gee, age 23, United States Marines. Staff Sergeant Darren T. Hoover, age 31, United States Marines. Corporal Hunter Lopez, age 22, United States Marines. Corporal Deegan W. Page, age 23, United States Marines. Corporal Humberto A. Sanchez, age 22, United States Marines. Lance Corporal David Espinosa, age 20, United States Marines. Lance Corporal Jared M. Schmitz, age 20, United States Marines. Lance Corporal Riley J. McCullum, age 20, United States Marines. Lance Corporal Dylan R. Merola, age 20, United States Marines. Lance Corporal Kareem M. Niku, age 20, United States Marines. Navy Corpsman Maxton W. Soviak, age 22. Staff Sergeant Ryan C. Nas, age 23, United States Army.
We will now have the presentation of the table for one by the student council.
The table for one. You may have noticed a small table set for one in place of honor. This table is our way of symbolizing the fact that members of profession of arms are missing from our midst. They are commonly called prisoners of war or missing in action, or POW MIA. These soldiers are unable to be with us because of their incarceration, so we remember them. The military cast is filled with symbolism. The table set for one is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his oppressors. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. The single rose is displayed in a vase that reminds us of their families and loved ones who keep the faith awaiting his return. The yellow ribbon tied so prominently on the vase is reminiscent of the yellow ribbon worn upon the lapel and breasts of thousands who bear witness to the unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting of our missing. A slice of lemon is to remind us of their bitter fate. The salt is a symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. The glass sits inverted. They cannot toast with us tonight. The chair remains empty. They are not here. The candle flame represents our hope for the future. All of you who put your trust in them and called them friend, remember, for surely they have not forgotten you.
We will now play taps in honor of our POW and MIA soldiers. like to invite our custodian to come and receive the POW flag, which will be flown here at Rayburn Middle School for the entire. I would like to now present Dr. Egan, the Vice Principal of RBMS, to now come and sing God Bless America at the conclusion of this presentation. Please join in if you'd like.
Honor guard, stand up, right face, forward march.
If everyone would stand and join with me, thank you.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Thank you.
This now concludes our Veterans Day Assembly. I would now like to invite Mrs. Lamadrid up here for closing remarks. Thank you.
Honor guard, red.
On behalf of our RBMS staff and students, I would like to thank everyone for joining us to honor our veterans past and present. I especially would like to thank Mr. Dusty McClary and Mr. Mark Mullen for speaking at today's assembly. Your service to our country is greatly appreciated. Please accept this token of appreciation for your time and duty served. I would also like to thank our RBMS Student Council members for your time and dedication to this very special event. In addition, Mr. In addition, Mr. Les Pollard for assisting our students prepare for this assembly. Thank you, Mr. Pollard. The Douglas Fire Department for joining us today and participating in our assembly as well. Mr. Kevin Alvarado for being our Master of Ceremonies for today's assembly. Our NJHS co-sponsors, Mr. Mario Romero and Ms. Eve Brown. And most importantly, Mrs. Rosemary Owen, for her dedication and service to our school, community, and all Douglas veterans. This is her 21st year being an instrumental part of RBMS's annual Veterans Day Assembly. We cannot thank her enough. Mrs. Owen, please accept this token of appreciation from your RBMS family. Thank you, Mrs. Owen. Thank you for attending our assembly today.
This now concludes our Veterans Day presentation. Thank you so much. Mrs. Owen has also graciously donated yellow ribbons for our administrators to be hung on their doors in memory of all veterans. Thank you, everyone, and have a good day.